I'm just going to enlarge the screen so you can see it. So today's session is all about implementing person-centered approach in care setting. Do we know what's person-centered approach? Have you ever heard about person-centered?
It means centered around the person's health needs. Is around that person. So and the person should be involved in their care setting, whatever their medication, whatever decision is made about them, they should be involved and with their permission. It should be centered around what they need, their care needs.
Excellent. So this is really what I wanted you to say. So that's a full answer. For us as a care setting, we focus on the person as a unique person. So each person for us, we focus on their needs, their wishes, the way how they like to be treated, on their care plan. We reflect that. Okay, so if you have already, let us say 3 or 4 people you care for, then with the person-centered approach, each one of these people, you would understand what they need, how they would like to be treated, what would they like to eat, what they like to do as activities. You would find out lots of information about them, about their illnesses, about their health, and then all this information will be put into the care plan. So as you can see here, we focus on the individual and present their unique needs, wishes, and preferences. Focus on enabling the individual to be in control of their life, including how they want to live it. Focus on enabling the individual to plan for the care and support they would like, include changes that they may raise in the future. Is this clear? So for us, person-centered approach, we focus on the person as individual, as a unique, and we focus on their wishes, their needs, their preferences. And also we focus on enabling this person to be in control of their lives, of their choices, the way they want to live it. And also we focus on enabling them to plan their care. So we like share them when we do their care plan. We don't just create a care plan to someone without him being focused, without him being included in our care plan. Yeah, so his thoughts, his ideas or her ideas are always matter to us. Does this make sense? Yeah, so the person-centered approach is very important in the care setting. Yes, so if we look here, what we focus on is the individuality. So this means support and engaging the individual in their own plan, in their own personal care. Okay, this can include assisting an individual to dress in the way they want. We assist them to eat the way they like it. So it's all about their own daily life. We understand that everyone is different, everyone is unique. So we provide for every person what they prefer, what their preference, what their wishes. People you care for, they might be similar, like they may be all for example, from the same nationality or from the same background or maybe same gender, but that doesn't mean that they are similar. In a reality, each one of them is unique. Okay, so all these individuals will want assistance in their eating, in their bathing, in their drinking. However, we should focus on each person individual, that each one of them would want to eat independently. The way he wants or she wants to do it is totally different and unique. So we support them in the way they would like to do it. Is this understood?
Yeah.
So mainly for us, most important thing is to focus on their own wishes and preference, and we fill it for them. So whatever their wishes and preference, that's why we need to focus on each person as an individual. Otherwise, we will just, for example, I'm serving today breakfast. I would give everyone an egg, toast, and tea. Is this correct? It's not correct, because some of them maybe have high cholesterol. Maybe some of them, they don't like eggs. Maybe some of them, they don't like to eat breakfast at all. They just would like just a cup of tea. So that's why we focus on a person as a unique individual, and also their right. So what that means, this means supporting and encouraging an individual to understand that they are centered to us. So for example, we ensure the individual rights are met and there are no barriers to stop them from accessing their rights. Having disability or being on a wheelchair should not prevent or become a barrier between people and certain activities we do. That's why we should create activities which involve everyone. How we do that? By centering our focus on each one of them, thinking about their needs, and then when we create group, we would create certain activities which is good for everyone. And also, you must make sure that the individual are aware of the process. So for you, your client should be aware about their care plan, about how you process your activities toward him or her, and that your support is centered on that person individual. Also, choices. So what does that mean? That means is we support the people, encourage and empowering the individual to make their own choices and their own decisions. Everyone is entitled and has got the right to create their own choice, their own decision based on their own judgment. So individuals should choose how they would like to be supported, how they would like. So we give them all the information they need, however, and we tell them about the option available and let them choose what would they like to be the way they like it. So for example, if you tell any person you care for that the support or service available in their local area. So if you have a client, you visiting him or her at home, you tell them about all the service available in that area. If they need any of these services, then they will tell you. So you just tell them about the options, but you don't force them to do something like something particular. You give them the choice. And also privacy. What does that mean? You respect an individual, you give them space, you give them all the information they need, but also you give them space. You could include something simple like for example, you knock on their door before you enter. That's very important. You leave them in the bath if they don't want assistance. This is their choice. You just stand by the door waiting for them. If they want to they are like they have their options, they have their choices. So whatever their choices, we follow it. And one of these choices is if they need their privacy, we give them privacy. So if the family member would ask you to do something, but they wouldn't want to like the client doesn't want it because of he needs more privacy. He doesn't want someone to come and sit with him on a certain time. You give him that. This is his choice. He needs privacy, you give him privacy. Also, you monitor their dignity and respect. You always should be worried about their dignity. You should be what that means treating people well, showing them respect. Also, you need to respect their opinion, their rights. If they tell you something, you just follow it, unless if it is something you can't do. Yeah. So respect the individual, involve talking to them, taking your time to listen to them, valuing their opinion, their individuality, fully fill their own needs, their preferences. Also promoting the individual sense of self-respect, and by ensuring that they do not feel humiliated, because it's very difficult for any person, not for a very vulnerable person only, to feel humiliated or embarrassed. So you need to monitor what you say, you monitor what you do and how you do it. And also we provide care. So we provide care for these vulnerable people, for the elderly people, and of course there is key person-centered value that that is your rule. So for you, you need to focus on an individual, give them the care they need. Any type of do the responsibilities you have for the individual that meets their preferences, their needs, and ensure, for example, if they need some different type of meals, if they can't, let us say you're serving on that day some ham sandwiches, but some of them they can't eat it. So you need to make sure you provide for each person, because you have their care plan, you have all the information. Make sure that this person, you don't serve him this, even if he's got dementia, or you need to care for individual as being unique. Okay. And so it is very, very important. Is this clear so far?
Yes, yes.
So do we need to list all of these care, all of these things, compassion, courage? Do we need to list all of them?
Yeah, so let us go back to the question. So when it says define person-centered values, so what are the values? These are the values. Okay. So first of all, we started with, let me go. So as you see here, the person-centered values. So we've spoken about individuality, rights, choice, privacy, independence, dignity and respect, care. You need just to put them down and also explain what are they. You can't just say compassion. What's compassion all about when it comes to person-centered values? Okay, so you need to understand. Perfect, thank you. So when it comes to compassion, do you understand what does it mean, compassion, when it comes to person-centered values? So you need to show
that means a provided care individual.
Yeah, so we need to provide care individual in a way that we show kindness. So compassion is all about empathy, about kindness, about consideration, dignity, respect. For example, we take time out from a busy shift to sit with someone individual who's maybe sad, or maybe he's unhappy for a while because he heard very bad news about his family or his partner. Or so we always need to be kind to the people. We need to be empathetic with our clients, not only serving them food, serving them, bathing them, taking care of them. We need to be kind to them. Okay, so that's compassion. Also, courage. What does that mean? So that's mean
To do the right things.
Yeah. Yes.
Right things, individual care.
Yeah. In more
Provided,
efficient, like we
provided
work
in
with
a
the
changed
clients.
ways.
Okay. So this means providing care in a way that morally accepted. So we do the right things for each person we care for. And we always think about improve or change our way to suit them. So if we doing something for the client, the way we do it, we have it in a care plan, but I can see this is not fit for this client. So what I should do, I should improve my way, change my way, my working way, and become more efficient to work with the specific client. So kind of even speaking up, if you have any concerns. Let us say my colleague is dealing with one of her clients, but I'm not happy with the way she's handling that client, the way she is treating him, not with respect, or not with dignity, not with respecting his dignity. So what I should do, I speak up. So the courage is mean being courageous. You speak up if you have any concerns, if you have anything in the work you're not satisfied with, you need to speak up. Why? Because you need to make sure these vulnerable people not being abused. Also, another value is communication. What does mean communication in this particular bracket, which is person-centered values? Why it is important? Obviously, good communication is vital. Why? Because it gives high quality care. So for me, if I don't communicate with my clients perfectly, then I'm not doing well with them. Why? Because how can I support them effectively if I can't tell them and listen to what they need? I wouldn't know what they need if I have no good communication. So it is so good communication is key to provide good or high quality care. And also it includes actively listening. So you don't just talk to the clients, you also listen to the clients and get what is necessary for them, build a good relationship with them and with your colleagues as well. So the communication, not only with your clients, communication should be good with your colleagues. It's very, very important.
Lana,
and also, yes,
I don't think I got this work, you know. If
okay,
this is
I
last
send it
week's
to you.
work, I didn't get it. I think I got what do you call it? I think I got the same work twice.
Well, I sent it to everyone, but that's
No,
fine.
if you
I'll
look
send it
back
to you again.
no, look in the email that you sent to me, you will be able to see, because the work I sent you this morning was the work that I clicked on from last week, and it was nothing to do with this.
Well, this
So
is Unit
I'm
4.
basically 2 weeks behind.
I
In
sent
other
it to
words,
everyone. That's fine. I can send it to you today as well.
oh
It's
God.
okay. And I can send you the recording so you can do the coursework. It's fine. Don't worry at all. All right. So now, what about competence? When it comes to person-centered value, what about competence? So for you to provide person-centered value, you need to be competent in your job. You need to do your best. You need to have skills, expertise. You need to provide high quality support. Yes, this means you understand the need of each person as an individual and give an effective care to meet their own needs, their own preferences. For example, here we have an example. Oh, I have one of you just joined in. Okay, Mariam. Okay, so where we are now, we're talking about competence. We said being competent in your role, it means a lot. It means that you are able to do your job properly. You have lots of knowledge, lots of skills, expertise, and that needs to understand each one of your clients effectively so that you can provide effective care to them. Okay. How about partnership? What does partnership value means? From the word itself, when you say partnership, this means working together. So working with the clients, working with the care support. You work together, and this to ensure that they are all at the center of the care you provide. So if you work together with your colleagues, you will get lots of information about this client. If you work together as a partner with the client themselves, you will get lots of information about the client, and then you can provide excellent service and excellent person-centered value to them. So this means working together alongside with your clients and also with the team care will provide you with lots of information so you can provide the best care. This ensures that you are all at the center of the care you provide and are in control of the care you receive. So all the people are in the center of the care you provide, and also they receive the best care. This includes working with their families, maybe, with the person you care for, with your colleagues, with outside organizations like hospitals, like GP, nurse, all this. Why? Because you need lots of information so you can provide excellent support to your client. So now, if I want to answer the first question, I said define person-centered values. So to answer this question is what I have here. First of all, I need to talk about what is person-centered. So person-centered approach is focusing on the individual, on my clients to fully fill their unique needs, wishes, their preferences, make them happy and satisfied in the nursing home. Also focus on each one of my clients, control to give them full control of their life, and also enable them to help me plan their own care plan. when now you need to start talking about the values, I would just put all the values and talk about them as well. So individuality, what does it mean? And also all of these values to answer question 1. So is this understood?
Yes.
Excellent. So now when I go to question number 2, it says explain why it is important to work in a way that embeds person-centered value. So why it is important to do all this? So why it is important? So for you, number 1, why it is important? Why you involving your clients in their care plan? Will this help them? You allow them to live an independent life as much as possible. No one wants to be under control of others. Do you like to be under control?
No.
Of someone? Of course. So when they are vulnerable, they need our support. If I just give them what I think they need, they would feel uncontrolled in their lives. So when we implement person-centered approach, what does that mean? Means involving individual in their own care. They receive whatever they receive, they are included in it, and this will allow them to live their life as independently as possible, helping them to feel not in control. They are fully in control of their own lives. They are not under someone else's control. And it is very worth thinking about each one of them, how they feel if they have control of their own life. Obviously, they will be very happy, very satisfied, and everyone is allowed to have their own rights, to make their own choices, their own to tell us their own preferences. That's how they feel independent, how they feel happy, how they feel satisfied. Also, it can make positive differences to individual lives, as care and support you provide will reflect individual needs, values, preferences. It will be in line with the individual, what they want. Again, enable the individual to live how they want to live. So it's all about giving each one of my clients control over their life, their wishes, their preferences, and make them satisfied, make them happy, make them in full control of their own lives. No one controlling them. Okay, and also you will you can ensure that when you meet the standards, because here in the UK we have certain standards. One of them is person-centered values. So when we follow this, we meet in the standard in our work. Also, it ensures you provide high quality. So first of all, we make the client happy by making them in control of their own lives. Yeah, we talked about it. Second thing, obviously, we meet in the standards, because in the UK we have high standard for quality of care, and one of them is person-centered approach. Also, we ensure we provide high quality of support. So what does that mean? When we use person-centered value in our work, and that will be the best practice. That means we are following the best practice, will in turn impact on the quality of care we provide. So, for example, I have a client, and if if I'm following to the exact his wishes, his preferences, whatever he needs, he wants to would like to eat, to drink, where he wants to go, all this, if I'm following it, well, that means I'm following the best practice in my work. Also, it promotes partnership working. Why? Because when you have person-centered value in your work, in your practice, that will be getting to know how to work alongside with the individual, how to work with your client, how to work with your colleagues, will teach you to communicate well and get all this information. Also, their families, you might have to contact and communicate with their families, with the professionals, to get more information, as much information as you can. So all this means a better communication skills. Okay, so are we clear up to here? So if you answer the question, do you know how to answer question 1.2, explain why it is important in a way to work that embeds person-centered values? Do we know how to answer this question? We just talked about it. So first of all, involving individual will make them have full control of their lives. They wouldn't be under anyone else's control. They will have full control of their lives. They will feel confident. They will feel satisfied. They will feel happy. Will allow them to have their rights to make their own choices, their own preferences, their own needs, to fully fill their needs. And also will make huge differences to their lives. So that will make a positive influence to their lives. Rather than feeling sad, miserable, they've been controlled, they will feel now happy, and because they get what they want. And also for us, we will feel that we are following the standards. Why? Because in the UK, very high standards of care is provided. So if we follow the or embed the person-centered value, that means we following the standards. Also, we provide high quality of care. Why? Because if we follow each person's needs, each person's wishes, that means we're providing the best care we can. We show that we're able to support the individual to control their lives. And also, when we do this, the centered value, that's the person-centered values, when we follow the person-centered approach, what does it mean to us? Means a better communication, because we can't follow the person-centered without a good communication. We need to talk to the client, we need to listen to them, we need to talk to the professional and get more information from them, we need to talk to the families. So it ensures to promote partnership working, good relationship as a partnership with individuals, with their families, with the professionals, and with anyone can support us to get the information to support this client. Is this clear so far? Yes? Okay, so now yes. Question 1.3, explain why risk-taking can be part of a person-centered approach. Can you think, like, it is all about the client, we give them what they want, and this is 1.3. So What's the risk could be included when you follow the person-centered approach? In everything, there is a risk. Even if you do a very, very good thing in your life, let us say you eat salad, there is a risk. Maybe you didn't wash the salad properly. Maybe you didn't cut it properly. Maybe you didn't do this properly. Even simple thing, there is risk. So what's the risk included in person-centered approach? So what is person-centered approach? It involves being aware and assessing the potential dangers. So each one has got lots of ideas, lots of thoughts. They need to implement it. But there are some dangerous side to their own plans, to their own wishes or needs. Some of them are maybe dangerous for them. Let us say a person who's diabetic, but he really wants to have lots of biscuit with his tea every day. That's dangerous for them. So there are risks to take when you provide person-centered approach. There are so many risky things. So you need to think about the risks you're taking when you allow this person to do whatever they would like to do. Okay. Even, for example, crossing the road. Let us say my client, I'm working, because some of the clients you would work, they are staying in their own homes. So you work with an agency, they send you to check about this client who still living in his house or her house. Maybe they will ask you to take them to do shopping. Then even crossing the road, it might be dangerous. It might be, why? Because you can get the lights suddenly green, and then the cars come in and you're in the middle of the street with an elderly person who can't run or move very fast. So everything you are doing to your client, you need to think about the risk involved. You need to know if there is any risk for you both, for you as a person and for your client. But you assess the situation. For example, you look at the traffic light. If they are nearly going to go green, then don't cross. Let him wait. Ask him to wait. Stop and wait until you think, okay, now because you have a legal duty to take care of this person. You can't just allow him to do whatever he or she likes to do. Some of them, their mental ability are not very strong, or maybe they have dementia. The dementia person, you wouldn't take him to go out, but you still have to make your own judgment if it is risky. So if I want to answer this question, is explain why risk can be taken, I would say risk is part of everyday's life. So when I'm involved in the care, I need to take to think about the risk involved in whatever the person I'm caring for, in whatever his wishes, his needs, his preferences. Is there any risk involved? Okay, and then you can talk about the example for crossing the road as well. So what would you do when there is a risk involved?
You have to accept the situation with the client.
Yeah, you have to discuss it. Yeah. You have to inform them that there is a risk involved. Maybe even, let us go back to the crossing the street with an elderly person. You need, when you see them, it's like moving towards to cross the street, and you think the traffic light is not gonna go red anytime soon, it's still a green, you should speak to them, talk to them, because you are the for you you're a very important person, and for you, for your client, as a center approach, you focus on their wishes and needs, but you need to think about the risk you're taking.
Yeah.
So you need to inform them about the risk. So let us say about this person who wants to cross the road, you need to let them know that, look, please, Mr. X, the traffic light is still not red yet, so we can't cross the road now. So you need to inform the client about the risk involved. You need to support them in the risk assessment by explaining what the risk involved and how they can manage it. And also encourage the individual who do not want to take risk to do so. And if it is like still not risky, not too risky for them, and stop the individuals from taking risk if the risk is a dangerous thing for them. So first of all, what would you do? So let us go back to answer the question where it says, explain why risk-taking can be part of the person-centered approach. I would say risk-taking is just day-to-day activity in everyone's life. So if I care for my clients, for the individual, I need to be aware of the risk I am taking to accept their own choices. Yeah. So how dangerous it is to take this risk, and not telling them to stop completely and say, oh, I'm sorry, we can't go because you would, if you cross the road, we might get an accident. No, I'm going to take them, but I need to inform the client. So for us, I need, as you can see, inform the client about the risk and also support them to get over the risk, to assess the risk, thinking about it, so not make it dangerous, and also encourage them to take a risk if they are not a risk taker. For example, I'm taking all my clients outside to the garden, and one of them, she doesn't want to go. Why? Because she's saying it might rain, but it might not rain. Yes, so I need to encourage this client to go and have a fresh air. So I encourage her to take a risk. I say, maybe it's not raining, maybe it's raining, maybe it's not raining. So we will take a raincoat because we are now, and then you can be protected if it is raining. But in the meantime, I encourage her to go out. So encourage the individual. If they don't want to take risk, if it is not dangerous for them, then they should take risk and they should do things. Why? Because this will encourage them to grow confidence, and also stop them if they're taking risk if it was really dangerous for them. If the client want to have lots of sweets, this is risky, but it is really dangerous. It's not only a risk, it's a dangerous thing. Why? Because he's got diabetes, then I should stop him from doing this. Is this understood?
Yeah.
Yes, so
Okay,
far.
excellent. Excellent. So here, just repetition about the same thing. So we don't put the individual at risk or of danger or harm or abuse. We enable them to make decision wisely about how much risk can involve. Why? Because we give them information, and also if there is a conflict with my duty of care, then I shouldn't be taking this risk for the client. Why? Because I have a duty of care towards them. So I should stop them from, if it is something serious or dangerous, I shouldn't be allowing them to do, maybe involve professional to give them some advice, because they will be like, maybe thinking, you're not a doctor, why are you telling me not to eat the biscuit? So what if I'm diabetes? Then I told him, I tried to stop him because this is very dangerous, but I have a duty of care. I shouldn't leave him doing it. What should I do? I should involve professionals like a doctor or a nurse who's coming to see them. How about if the individual has got dementia and want to go to do some shopping without staff? That's definitely is very dangerous for them. Yeah, so in this case, because the person has got dementia, they can't, they don't have control over what they're doing, then I should inform the family member. It's very, it's something they have to deal with, yes? And also if the individual has got like epilepsy, wants to cook their own meals, because some of the units, they would have, like you go to the person, he's still living in his house or his her house. So he wants or she wants to live there, to cook their food independently. So what happened here? Would you allow them to do or not?
No.
Why?
Because they don't know how to do it.
Excellent. Because they don't.
So how we let them know? Because they don't know, they manage themselves as well.
Yeah, even if they know, but it's because it's dangerous for them, then perhaps I would suggest for them not to do it. I would say, I'll cook for you your meal. Maybe you sit next to me, you watch me how I do it. Maybe we talk about it. Just you tell me how to do it and I'll do it for you. Maybe you can do it this way, but you need to manage the risk you take in with the client. It's very, very important. Okay, so now explain how using an individual care. Are we here now? So where we are, 1.4, explain how using an individual care plan contribute to working in a person-centered way. So can any of you explain for us how using individual care plan contribute to person-centered approach? What's care plan? Care plan is a document where you put all the client day-to-day preferences, wishes, needs.
Pointed.
Yes, excellent. So in this care plan, the individual will tell you exactly how would like to live his life or her life. Then you write, you involve them in your care, in their own care plan, and you start doing it with them. So care plan can be developed and updated by the individual themselves. The people who I'm caring for, I wouldn't write care plan for someone without them being involved, because that will be, I'm controlling them. So for me, I like to let them live their life independently, a happy way. So I share care plans can be developed and updated by the individual receiving the care themselves. Along with my help, I help my clients so we can get the best individual plan for them. We also can involve their family, their friends, the manager maybe will give you lots of information. All this will go in their own care plan. So why it is important for the person-centered approach? Okay. First of all, it tells us the individual rights. Yeah, so we follow the individual, we give everyone their rights. Why? Because we involve them in their own care plan. So the individual you care for are fully involved or leading in their care plan and their needs. So all their needs, their wishes are all met. They may not be the people who are writing the plan. You are the person who's writing the plan for them. But what you do, you start talking to them, you start listening to them, tell them, get them involved, ask them how they want to do these care plans and the way they want to do it, and then you can write it for them. They can also maintain control over their personal information. Why? Because they tell you exactly how you would manage this information, how would you manage their own day-to-day activities. Also, it supports the individual, the care plan. The care plan support you provide meet the individual uniqueness, unique needs, unique preferences. So these plans, because you wrote them by talking to each individual. So you wrote them based on their preferences, what you understand from their wishes, from their own rights. You give them their own rights. And also it enables them to live independently. Why? Because when we focus on their strength, we focus on their abilities, their wishes, we enable each one of them to have high quality life they desire. They don't feel they are trapped in the nursing home. They do whatever they like. Make them happy, make them satisfied, make them feel free. So is this understood?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. So now where we are. 2.1, find out the history, preferences, wishes, and needs for an individual. Okay, so to be honest, this one should have been in the other side, which is the reflective account. After the class, I'm going to send it to you again, if you don't mind. Find out. So for you to find out, you just need to give us an example about how would you find out, because this is not, if you read it, it tells you it's all about you, because it's asking you find out the history, preference, wishes for the individual. So it's all about you. So how would you find your clients' wishes and preferences? But even if you leave it here, let us leave it here, because well, that will make you maybe more confused. It's fine. Let me go back to black. Okay, so how would you find out the history, the preference? Come on, guys. Like for you, you're working today in the care home. Okay, you have 5 clients. How would you find out about them? You just started.
Read their care plan, speak to
Okay.
them, speak to
Excellent.
my manager,
That's
speak
very
to their
good.
family
My
members, speak to
colleagues as
their
well.
colleague, yeah.
And their file as well, I can read about them more.
Very good.
Yeah.
And also you can talk to them.
Talk to them, yeah.
Yeah, so rather than me going to look in all the folders, files, why shouldn't I just be more personalized? Just go and sit with them, have some time. Sit with each one of them. I introduce myself. My name is Lana. I'm your new carer. I just started today. I would love to know more about you. You tell me a little bit more so I understand. How would you like me to bring your food? What would you like me to do in the normal day activities? Do you like to go to the garden? I like to know more about you as a person, as an individual. So that will make them feel really satisfied. Why? Because you took a time to focus on them as a person. Yeah. So by speaking to the individual about their history, I will ask them about their history, how they lived before. I focus on each person. That will make me understand and their experiences, their preferences. Why? Because I would know a lot more information about them. And you can do this by asking about their childhood, about their family background. This is very important, especially if you work with older people. It is important to remember that the individual have a history that may even be eager to share it. Most of them, they would have things would be eager to share. They would love to share it with the younger generation. So as soon as you ask them, they will be very happy to talk. They will to share with you more information about them, about their history, about their life background, family background. And by doing this, you giving a value to this person. You value in them. You value the care that you provide them. And you need to be genuine when you talk to them. You don't just do it because you need to have some information about them. No, you need to be genuine with them. Is this understood?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I go back to where it says find the history. So I just find out the history. I just explain how we find out the history. And then it says the preferences, wishes, and needs. So that's the three parts of the same question. So we spoken about the history. Now individual preferences. They may be based on the individual belief, individual values, individual culture. You can find out about the individual belief by asking the individual what their view and what do you think, what do they think is important. Maybe about their religious values, maybe about their way of living, personal care, personal values. And also you can find out more about their values by discussing this with them. So it's again same as the history. So you talk about their individual preferences with the person themselves. They may include or not eating meat, for example. If they don't like to eat meat, if they are vegetarian, they will tell you. If they don't drink any kind of milk because they are allergic to all dairies, they will tell you exactly how they live their life. You can find out more about the individual culture, for example, how they used to live their life and how they live their life right now as well. This is all what they would like to wear. Like you see a lady with a scarf, then you might If you don't know why, is that religious, or is it because it's cold today? Maybe some of them wear it because it's cold, or maybe it's a religious thing, or just you know more about them when you talk to them. Also about their wishes. How would you find out about the person's wishes? Do you know how to find out about their wishes? Again, same thing, by asking them. The best way to get the information is from the person itself. So if I want to find out about my client's wishes, I would be asking them what they hope, what their dreams, what they would like, all the information. I can get it from my client by asking them. Also their needs. How would I find out about their needs? I can get their needs by asking them as an individual, or I can get their needs maybe by talking to my colleagues as well. They might include asking them what they need, what nutritions they would like to have in their food, what activities they would like to do. All these needs I can't get information by asking the individual. Also, I can ask my colleagues if they've been working with these clients for much longer time than I am, then I can get some information from my colleagues. Also, you can find out about individuals that you can truly provide person-centered care by maybe asking the family member. I can get information, or as one of your colleagues said, by checking their own care plan. Also, you need to find out about their health. Obviously, if they have any health issues, this is from the care plan straight away, and also about their social interaction, just by checking with the family, with the friends they visit, also with the client themselves. And you see here, same thing, when you need to find out about the education, about the employment background, this is all by talking to the customer. Yes? All these things, whatever they have in their life, you can either talk to the customer or go to his or her care plan. You can find out about it. Now, explain the importance of establishing consent when providing care or support. So that's 3.1. We will get back to these ones when we do the reflective, but now we have to go to 3.1. Okay, so explain the importance of establishing consent when you're providing care or support. So what's the importance of consent? Why it is important? Why? Because without the consent, you wouldn't be able to find out any information about your client. Yes? So if I don't have his or her consent, maybe I can get some of the information, but still I want some consent to ask his family member, to ask his friends, to check with his GP, to get more information from them. So to understand their choices, their decisions that they make, and to provide anyone with good care and support, I need to ensure that there is an agreement between me and this person. What's this agreement called? Consent. We studied about consent before. It means I get the approval from my client. And why it is important? Give me an example about the consent.
It is important that you don't breach their data. So you follow the procedure of the organization that you work with, and to protect the individual data under the Data Protection Act 1998. So therefore you need their consent before you can ask the GP for any information about the individual or any other company.
Okay, very good. Also, there is a Human Rights Act we've spoken about before. So each one of them, they have their own rights, and I need to get their own consent. Very good. So here we have an example for you. So before you support an individual to move from position to another position, I still, because for him or her, I need to ask them, do you want to stay here, or do you want to move to another seat where it is much more comfortable? Do you want to stay in bed the whole day? Or even in the hospital, when you go, they come and ask you, do you want to sit on the chair, or do you want to stay in bed, for example? So the position they want to move to, they will tell me maybe to another chair, or they want to stay in their bed. And when they want to move now, or maybe lunchtime when they have their food ready, do they want to move, or how they want to move as well? Do they want me supporting their arm, or they want to do it themselves? So it's all, I need to get their consent to move them. So what's the benefit of moving from their chair, from the bed to another chair? I need to tell them, and also I need to tell them, like I give them information. I say, well, Mr. X, if you stay in bed, your legs would be tired, and your back would affect your back, while if you sit, you'll be much more comfortable. You need to tell them the benefit of moving. You need and then ask them, do you want to move or not? And then if they say yes, we want to move, then you ask, do you want to move by yourself, or do you want me to help you? This is all consent, even if it is not written. So why it is important to get this consent? It is legal requirement to comply with the legislation, such as Mental Capacity Act 2005. The individual must give their consent for the position of care and support, for the provision, and also the individual is unable to give their consent because of the lack of capacity, then perhaps, or maybe having such a condition, mental condition, like dementia, then what would you do? What would you do if the person has got dementia? You just act in their best interest. So let us say you normally ask the client to move them their bed to the chair every day, but one of them has got dementia. She doesn't have the mental capacity to tell you yes or no. So you act in their best interest. So I would just help her to move to the chair, because sitting on the chair is better for her. So it is so if we answer the question where it says the importance of establishing consent when you provide care and support, I will be answering, first of all, it is legal requirement. So for me, I need to comply with the legislation such as Mental Capacity Act 2005, where the individual must have give their consent to any kind of support they are provided with. And if they are not able to give their consent because of the lack of mental capacity, then perhaps I will have to act in their own best interest, decide on their behalf. Also, it is necessary for working in a person-centered way. Obtain the individual consent when you provide care or support means that you're respecting them, respecting their rights, respecting and agreeing or refusing and promoting their own dignity. You're not assuming what they want and just follow it. You need to respect their own rights, their own wishes, their own beliefs. So first of all, if you're doing the person-centered approach, where is it? So why it is important? First of all, it's a legal requirement. So for me, I need to comply with the legislation such as Mental Capacity Act 2005. For the individual must give consent for the provision of care. So for this individual, if they are able, they would give me consent. If they are not able because due to the lack of mental capacity, then I should act on their behalf, and that would be in their best interest. And I can decide on their, if it is just simple day-to-day activities, then I can decide for them. And also another benefit of this, having consent from people, it is necessary because when working with a person-centered way, I obtain the individual consent to provide care for them. That means I respect them. I respect their right for the individual and their dignity, and by not assuming things, I just do what they prefer, what they wish, what they need. So this is to answer the question 3.1. Now 3.3, explain what the step to take if consent cannot be readily established. We kind of spoken about it. Let us go to here. Where is it? 3.3. We kind of spoken about it, how to answer this. So explain what step to take if consent cannot be readily established. So why we can't establish a consent? Can you think about reasons?
Said the mental capacity, maybe they have dementia or something. Yes. So yeah, you're acting their best interests and help them. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So first of all, maybe the individual have lack of capacity, mental capacity. That's very, very good. Any other way you might not get the person consent? For you, maybe the individual is undecided. Sometimes these people, like any person, even us, can be undecided. So you don't know whether he or she, they given you consent or they didn't give you their consent. Also, sometimes they tell you something, but it's not clear whether it's a consent from them or not. So that's how you don't have a proper consent. Sometimes, due to the individual lack of capacity, you don't have a consent from them. Also, sometimes you get their response, but sometimes you don't get a response because the person is undecided. So you don't know whether you have or you don't have a consent from them. Sometimes it's unclear. They tell you something, but it's unclear whether it's a consent or not. So if any of the situations above, what would you do? So what is, where is it? What steps to take if consent cannot be readily established? We talked about how the consent cannot be readily established. Now, what would you do if there is no consent, or maybe it's unclear that you have consent or not? First of all, it's all about information. So I try to explain the information to them again. And ask them, did you understand what we have discussed? Just tell them all the information again. What's the procedure, how we do it, what's the benefit, what's the risk, what's the consequences. I tell my client this again, and then I seek advice. If there is no consent and the client is still not giving me his consent, even though I explain all the information, I told him everything, the benefit, the risk, the consequences, again, still not giving me consent. So what I should do, I should seek an assistant. I go to my manager or to my supervisor and talk to them. So it is your duty not to ignore that this client doesn't give you a consent, because sometimes it's just simple things like just moving from the bed to the sofa, and the person doesn't have the mental capacity. Then you do it. It's fine. It's simple, just day-to-day activities. But sometimes it's a bigger decision for you. So what you should do, you should go and involve your manager. It's your duty not to ignore the consents. You should go and report this to your manager. If you can't get the consent, seek further advice, guidance from the setting, from your own policies and procedure. Go and check the policy and procedure if the manager is not there at that time. You need more advice, you need more support. So doing so reflects your competence. This is to show that you're competent enough. You read about how to deal with the elderly client, you learned, you done lots of training, so you provide excellent care and support. So you know how to do, what to do, which is reporting this case to your manager. Also, can you think about other things you can do after you report everything? What would you do? You report it to your manager. Also, you can clarify, so get some clarification from the people who know this person closely, maybe his family, maybe his advocate. Get some more information as to why this person is not giving you consent for certain things. And also record these information and finding. It's very important. Why? Because if no action was taken, you would be the person who everyone will come and blame, because they would think you haven't reported it, nothing happened, and you didn't get consent, so it's all your fault. No, I reported it to the manager. This is my finding. I put it in writing, and then also find out was the action being taken. Write it down to establish the consent. Why? Because it looks good for you. It looks that you're competent enough in your work. So if after all trying these options, consent is still not being established with an individual, then it may be that they are unable to do anything. However, this will depend on the number of things, which is individual capacity, like his mental capacity, whether he refused just something relates to his health, his big issues, got danger, like it's very dangerous thing for his health, whether or just in this case, maybe you need professional counsel, someone else to support you. You need some clarification from professionals, or just simple thing you can deal with it yourself. So it all depends on how large the problem and the issue is. So to answer this question, let us go back. So to answer this question, 3.3, explain what steps to take if consent cannot be readily established. So if there are certain situations that the consent cannot be readily established, which is the individual mental capacity. Also, the individual is undecided whether to give or not to give their consent, or maybe they give you their consent, they give you something, they tell you something, but it's not clear whether it's a consent or not. So what would you do? You need to speak to the client and explain to them what's the consequences of not having this consent, what's the benefit, what's the risk, what you can do to them. So you explain everything to the client. Then if the client doesn't respond still, what you do, you seek an advice from your manager, from your duty manager, from your supervisor. You speak to the person, you seek further guidance. Also, you go to the policy and procedure to check what to do in this case. And you start following it. Why? Because this shows that you're competent in your work. And then if everything happened, but still consent cannot be established, then you need to speak to a representative, to your client representative, maybe his advocate, if he's got one, or maybe his relatives. You need to speak to them, get some more information as to why this person is not giving his consent. You go and check with the manager what he did with the information you provided. Did he do anything with it? Was the action was taken, or you will be asked to take? And then you need to record all these findings relates to the action you took to establish consent with the individual. So you need to write everything, all these actions one by one, and what happened, when that happened, the date as well. Why? Because anything could happen later on. You are not the one who should be blamed. You've done everything you should. And then after all this, if consent not being provided, then we are unable to do anything. However, it depends on the number of things and how, like if the person doesn't give consent in everything, then there is something you should go to an external organization to, maybe he's got some mental health, or maybe he's got some other issues to deal with. Maybe a psychiatrist would help him. But also, not only the number of things he hasn't given consent for, also the importance of these things. Like if the client doesn't give consent for something to do with his health, and this will put him in danger, then we should take extra care for. We can contact and get legal clarification from professional counsels, from professional people who from courts. We need to get more information, because let us say, God forbid, something happened to this client, then maybe the family will sue the setting. They will think this person, you didn't do anything for him, for his health. So if you write everything, if you report it to the manager, you have nothing to worry about. You've done everything, makes you look very competent, very professional, and there is nothing to do more than that. So now if we answer question, let me check. question 4.1. Describe how active participation benefits the individual. So what is active participation? Do we know? Active participation? From the word participation, what does it mean? It means they participate in their own care plan, in their own day-to-day lives, decisions. Yeah, so active participation is a person-centered way of working that can lead to improve the care and support. Why? Because we focus on that person as an individual and make him actively participated in his own care plan to lead an independent life as much as possible while we are providing support for them. So what's the importance where it says how active participation benefits the individual? So why active participation is good for the person? So for active participation, an individual right, like you give each person his right, for example, to participate in an activity fully, to maintain relationship in everyday's life as independent as possible. So it to provide the individual with their own rights. So when they participate in their own care plan, they participate in every single activity fully, that will help them to maintain a relationship and live an independent life as possible. Also for their individual abilities. So active partner who is involved in their own care and or support rather than a passive recipient to this care. So for me, I don't enforce the care on my client. I need to build my care on the individual abilities. So this client is an active partner who's involved completely in their own care. And also an individual potential. For example, they all are in full control of their care and their support if they are taking part of it or if they are involved in it. That means all their needs will be met fully. So when you go there, check, describe how active participation help the individual. How it helps the individual? We just discussed it. Come on, girls. So for you, if you let us say one of your clients, he would like to, well, all of your clients should be involved in their own care plan. But what that made them, if Mr. X is very much included in his or his own care plan, that will give him a positive impact on their life. That will increase their social interaction. Why? Because he will be talking to you, will be talking to him, and then he will be very positive, very happy. He will start talking to others. So when they, yes, exactly. So that means will have positive impact on their life. Why? Because it will increase their social interaction and achievements, because every person, they have goals in their mind. So when they fully fill them, which is living an independent life, when they feel that they are achieving this, that will make them positive. They will make them happy.
Happy, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That will affect their self-esteem and well-being, will encourage them to have a better perspective of life. Also, other benefits, can you think of? It's here. We just discussed it. So first of all, as a benefit, the individual will have their own right. So for example, if they participate in their activities fully, that will maintain a good relationships with others. They will live their life independently. Also, the individual abilities. So if they participate, that will encourage them to develop their abilities. They will become an active partners. They will involve in their care and their support, and which they are receiving. Also, the individual, they will be fully fill their potential. For example, they will take control of their own support. Their needs will be met. Their preferences will be met. Their everything they want, it will be met.
Yes.
And also, as we said here, being able to do things themselves, feel involved, they will be active, and that will make a huge impact, a huge positive impact on their lives. Will increase their social interaction, will make them happy, will make them taking part of that, and they will achieve their personal goal of being independent. For them, because they are vulnerable, their main goal is to be independent. They don't like to rely on others. So if you encourage them to take part, to be actively part of this, that will make them feel independent, and that will build or increase their self-esteem. As you can see here as well, they have some more benefits you can add to it. So the individual will feel good about making their own decisions. The individual confidence and their own abilities will improve, and also the individual feels more in control of their own support and their own life. The individual can achieve their goals and realize their potential to live the life fully. And also the care support provided can be adapted to their to meet their needs, to meet their preferences and their in their care. So now identify possible barriers to active participation. What's the barriers that people might have which prevent your client from being actively participated in their own care? Can you think? Yes. So now there are some barriers. Can you think about some of these barriers? Sometimes it's difficult for us to encourage people to take part. Why? Because they are not interested. Some of the people, they might not be interested in taking part or being actively participated in their own plans. So, or sometimes it's really difficult for us to manage that. Why? Because There is no sufficient time. I have so many people to care for. I don't know. I don't have time for that. So, first of all, insufficient time. When adult care workers are very busy, or when they are working in a team where some of the staff unwell, let us say some of the staff will have COVID or any other illnesses, like big chunk of the team are ill that day, what would you do? Or maybe you had a meal the day before, all of you, and some of the people have food poisoning. Then that will provide extra pressure on you. Why? Because you're not going to be able to start thinking about the active participation for the clients. Why? Because you don't have time. So when adult care workers are very busy with, or some of the team are unwell or away for any reason, then the active participation may be very difficult. Also, lack of training. So some of the people, they join nursing home, but they don't have enough training. They don't know how to do it. So it is not only new adult care workers. Some of them, they've been in the business for so long, but they never learn how to do it. They don't have the knowledge, the skills, the experience. So not only the new people, the people who've been working there for a long time, they might not have the sufficient knowledge, skills. They need more training. Which make them incompetent. So if they do not actively attend training to update their knowledge, their skills, their abilities about how to encourage active participation, that will make the care suffer in that nursing home. There are also, these two are barriers for the people working in care. How about barriers for the people who take in the care? Like the client themselves. So what's the barrier to prevent them from the active participation? So for the individual needs, for active participation to be successful is like extremely important, crucial for the individual that their needs to be met. So sometimes the individual needs it's very hard to meet. Why? Because they have mental health problems. That's mean for you as for their personal confidence in themselves is very low. So maybe they have kind of problem like let us say depression or any mental health issues. Their self-confidence is very low. They wouldn't want to participate. They wouldn't want to get involved. Also, individual family and carers. For active participation to be successful, it is extremely important for the family, for the carers to be part of it, to encourage that. And if they don't want to do that, this may be difficult especially if they have a close relationship with the individuals who we care for. So it's important for the care worker to have a good relationship with the families, with the carers. Yeah. So let us go back where it says. Also, we have barriers for the environment itself. So we have barriers for you as a carer, barriers for the people themselves who get in the care, and also for the environment, like physical barriers, such as a lack of ramps, for example, wheelchairs for the individual, or access to the building. So for these people, would be very hard to take part of this event or join specific nursing home. Also, another barrier is lack of information. if the individual are unaware of how they can be participated, if we don't tell them, they would be unable to take part. Also, accessibility information. If the information is not available in a form of different language, maybe the person who has got like speaking different language, if he cannot understand what we're talking about, then he cannot access this information, and that will be a barrier for him to participate. So are we clear about this, or do you want me to repeat it? Where it says, identify possible barriers for active participation. So for active participation, there are so many barriers which might be very difficult to encourage the active participation. Some of them are related to the people who work in care, such as insufficient time. So in a care home worker, they might be busy because of they take care of so many clients, or maybe some of the team is unwell or are unwell, or they are on annual leave, and that will make it very difficult for this person to encourage the active participation to his client or her client. Also, and they even give you an example here. It might be quicker to make a cup of tea for the individual than support individual to walk to the kitchen to make a tea. So you just make tea to everyone because you don't have time, rather than helping him to stand up and go to the kettle and create his own cup of tea. Also, lack of training. So might not be even if you're new to the business, or maybe if you joined the business long time ago, you might have lack of training, lack of knowledge, skills. Then would be very complicated for you to achieve your best practice. So each one of the people who work in the care, they need to actively attend the training and up-to-date training to help people to and encourage them to do an active participation. Also, another barriers could be related to the people who get in the support themselves. So first of all is the individual needs. For active participation to be successful, it is crucial that the needs are met. Sometimes if they have mental health issues, means that the person, maybe his confidence in himself or herself are very low, that will affect their needs to actively participate. They will be withdrawn, they wouldn't be participated. Also, individual families and carers. What's the relation here? For active participation to be successful, it's crucial that the family or carers also encourage these individuals to be actively participated. But if they are disconnected, there is no close relationship, then might be very difficult for anyone to encourage him or her. Also, there are barriers from the environment, physical barriers, which is a lack of ramp, lack of wheelchair to use, and maybe stop the individual from accessing the building, taking part of the social event. Also, lack of the information. So if the individual or the people who we care for is unaware how he can actively participate, then he would not, because he doesn't have the information. He doesn't know how to do it. Also, accessible information. Information is available about in forms of languages. So if we have all the information in English, and let us say one of the ladies doesn't speak English, she speaks different language, then will be very information for her to access this information, because there is a barrier, which is the language barrier. Is this understood? Clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, excellent, thank you. So now 4.3, where is it? Okay, identify possible barriers. We've done that. Now 5.3, explain why a worker personal views should not influence the individual choices. So do we know why your personal views should not influence the individual choices? So let me go to 5.3. Okay, so why your personal view should not influence your client's choices?
Sometimes it's risk for the client.
Risk? You're not gonna tell him risk, but why you shouldn't? Like, would you influence your kids, even kids, to do certain things, to do everything in your own way? You wouldn't, because you would want them to build some independency. You want them to encourage them to make their own choices in life,
Yeah.
to feel happy, to build a good self-esteem. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes.
So why wouldn't you influence your own clients? So working in a person-centered way, that's mean involving your clients in to make their own choices, their own decisions. You can only do this successfully if you let them take their own, make their own choices, tell you their own views. No influence from anyone. Why? Because making choices that they think will please you, rather than making choices that it's suitable for them. So, for example, they would be doing things just to please you, not to make them happy with their own choices. If you go back and think about you and your family, if you influence your kids and every day you wake up, you say to your kid, you need to be a doctor, you need to be a doctor, you study to be a doctor, go and study in your room to be a doctor, every day. Maybe they will grow up to be doctors, but is this choice is the best for them? Maybe they finish university and never work as doctors. Why? Because this is not their choice. They've just done it to make you happy. So even here, similar situation, but with elderly people you work with. So making choices, if you influence your client, they will make choices which make them to make you happy rather than something suitable for them. Also, making maybe wrong choices and decisions just because of your influence. Maybe not feel in control of their own life, their own care, their own support, which make them suffer later on. So it is very important to let them make their own choices. So if we go back here, if we read the question, explain why worker personal views should not influence individual choices. So to answer, I would be saying working for me as a care worker, I follow the person-centered way. So I help individuals to make their own choices, to make their own decisions, but I don't influence my own values and my own choices on them. Why? Because they might make choices just to make me happy rather than a choice which is suitable for them, also making the wrong choices, the wrong decisions, and maybe not feel in control of their own life and their own care and support. So it is very important to not to influence them to make and leave them to make their own choices. Let them make their own choices by themselves, but give them all the information needed to be included. So why it is important? Because you need to show them that you support them, you respect them, you regard their choices, you regard their dignity, you're compassionate with your work. So it is very important. Okay, and also you need to show your client that you're you following their goals, you following the organizational, you have responsibilities, you do your responsibilities toward them. Also, so you enable the individual to have control of their own choices. So that's all regards, all fully towards the benefit of making their own choices. So if you answer this question, explain why it is important to personal views should not be influence the individual choices. It's just this what we have spoken about. So first of all, you say how you let the people making their own choices. Also, you may, if you influence them, what's going to happen? They might make wrong choices. They might just make certain choices to please you rather than suitable for them, and also they would not feel in control of their lives. So all you need is to make them, to give them the authority to create their own choices independently. And you need to show that when you deliver your care, you deliver it to the best, highest standards. You show kindness, you show consideration to build their own confidence and encourage them to make their own choice. So now, if I go to the question after that is 5.4. Describe how to support the individual to question or challenge decision concentrating concerning them that are made by others. So you need to encourage your clients not only to make their own decisions, also to challenge the individual or question any decisions was made without their consent. So how you help your client to do that? So, for example, in relation to starting a new career or doing university or learning things, so doing so require effective support from others who you trust and well known to you, such as family and friend. But what about if someone makes a decision on your behalf to do certain things or activities, what would you do? Then it will be hard for you because you need to challenge these decisions which is made on your behalf. It's similarly here to the client. So if you had described how to support the individual to question anything, to any decision was made on his behalf which is not on his best interest. We need first to check their needs, their relationship. We need to know how to support them, get more support from their network, like their family, their friends. All this, why? Because we need to how we can help them to question if we make any decision on their behalf, but they are not happy with it, how we can support them, how we can encourage them. You need to speak up, how we can tell them that. Let us say your manager has made a decision on behalf of one of your client, Mr. X, and he said Mr. X need not to go to the garden because every day he's going to the garden getting some coughs, but Mr. X really wants to go to the garden at least 5 minutes a day because he needs some fresh air. So a decision was made by the manager on behalf of Mr. X, but it's not on his best interest because he really wants to do it. Just 5 minutes, it's not going to affect his health. So first of all, you support the individual to ask for a second opinion. You can do this by supporting the individual to request a second opinion by asking maybe a professional, maybe speak to a doctor, maybe speak to the nurse who come in to visit them. Can he do that? Yeah, so this will help him. And also support the individual to access support, for example, from other people who may have been in a similar situation, and get more information about them. Maybe another 2 more people. The manager said no garden for them just because he's worried about them. But this is not good for them because they really want at least 5 minutes. So first of all, for Mr. X, he can get support by getting second opinion from professional. Also, he can check with the individual who access the same service. And also you can support the individual to make a complaint. If he's really unsatisfied with the situation still, ask Mr. X to make a complaint. So support the individual to access the complaints procedure, understand it, and then to use it as well. It may be that the individual has made a complaint or challenging decision in the past, but hasn't been dealt with. Maybe that's why he's very determined not to make a complaint, but you need to give him some information and advice and support him. Show him the way how to make a proper complaint. This could make the individual challenge the decision, and it is important for them to be reassured about themselves, to show them that you're respecting their opinion. Is this clear? And also you can seek guidance. So you can seek guidance. You speak to your manager, your supervisor. First of all, you need also to encourage good communication. Let us go back to Mr. X. Mr. X has been prevented from going out to the garden by the manager. And that's it. Manager said no garden for Mr. X, but he wants to go at least 5 minutes for fresh air. Then first of all, we encourage good communication. For example, we should enable him to feel relaxed, trust us, so he can feel free to tell us his concern. Encourage him to ask questions. Maybe he should ask the manager. He needs to make the manager listen to him carefully. So I encourage Mr. X to speak to the manager, get more advice from him, more information, so he can challenge his decision. And then also you can seek an advice from Mr. X. How? By you go and speak to the manager and say that Mr. X is not satisfied or happy with the service. He needs to go out. So first of all is you encourage good communication. Second thing is you seek an advice and guidance from your manager. Third one, you support the individual to ask a second opinion. And also you support the individual to access support. And the last one is to make a complaint. You need to talk about it as well, not just to put the bullet points. Is this understood? Thank
so
you.
far.
Now, okay, excellent. Now, 6.1, explain how an individual identity and self-esteem are linked to their well-being. So how their identity and self-esteem are linked to their well-being. How identity and self-esteem. So how identity is linked to their well-being. So the individual identity is personal to that person, include the different aspects that make them unique. Maybe their gender, maybe their background, their values, their history, their wishes, their previous jobs. All this make their identity. We build up our own personal identity through our experience in life, from childhood to adulthood. So our experience affects directly how we feel about ourselves. For example, as a child, we experience making friends at school, or maybe do something enjoyable with them. And this will mean we feel good about ourselves when we meet new people. However, and also making new friends will mean we will share lives experience. We will have better and bigger experience. We will build a better confidence, bigger confidence for ourselves. All this will improve our well-being, will make us live happily, will make us live better. Obviously, that will develop our self-esteem. And also, about the self-esteem itself, so your self-esteem is what you think about yourself, how you feel about yourself, about your achievement in life, about your values, about how well you can do good relationship with others. All this always make you the way you think, the way you feel. It's all relates to your self-esteem. So when other hold you in high regards, when they praise you, when they tell you that you're very good in what you're doing, that will put your self-esteem very high. You will give you very positive outcome of your life, of your abilities. So this is really good for your well-being. So the well-being, what is it? It refers to your health. You're feeling good. If you have a good health, you're happy overall. Your positive outcome. So there are too many different types of physical well-being, of well-being. I mean, physical well-being, for example, living a life free from pain. You don't have any illnesses, no mental issues. Also, there's emotional well-being. The way it's all about the way how you feel in your life. Social well-being, how you make friends, how you make relationship. Cultural well-being, it's all about the group you are part of, how you share your belief, your religious belief, your other things. Spiritual and well-being, which are all about human spirit. Intellectual well-being, for example, your thought process. And also economic well-being, for example, of your finance situation, your housing situation. So our well-being will be all linked to our self-esteem, how much we have self-esteem. If we have high self-esteem, we will have a high well-being. Why? Because we introduce ourselves to the society. We go and look for better jobs. We go and create better opportunities for ourselves. We create better history for ourselves. So our self-esteem is really linked directly to our well-being. Is this understood? So a strong sense of identity can promote high self-esteem, just like what we said before. And high self-esteem can turn into make good personal value. You value yourself better. You feel good about yourself. Good sense of identity, good highest esteem. All this will promote a good health. Why? Because you're very proud of yourself about what you achieved. So your mental health wouldn't suffer. Your physical health is still the same. While if you feel very low about yourself, you haven't achieved much in life, you haven't done anything in your life, you would not feel good, and then this will reflect on your mental health, on your well-being. You might get illnesses because you keep thinking about why you didn't achieve this, why you didn't achieve that, and also not knowing, being unsure about your own identity. If you don't know your own identity, you have low self-esteem, this will make you feel unworthy. Lack of identity, low self-esteem will turn you into an ill person because you keep thinking about it. And like your brain wouldn't even have a rest. You're always thinking about it, why you're not doing well. You will be socially isolated from people, and then your mental health will suffer. Poor social and relationships and poor mental health will affect your body and will harm your health. So this is all linked together. Is this understood? So now describe the attitude and approaches that are likely to promote an individual well-being. So what is the attitude and approaches that promote people's well-being? What would you do to promote well-being? So as you can see here, well-being is a concept that refers to different aspects of individual good health, such as physical well-being, mental, emotional, social, cultural, spiritual, intellectual, economic health. And all this is all to do with your well-being. Now, what's the attitude approaches that are likely to promote the individual well-being? So your attitude, obviously your thoughts, your behavior in the as a carer will reflect on your attitude with people. So the way you think about yourself, if you think highly of yourself, of your achievement, of the way you respect yourself, that will reflect on your work. You will be very positive in your work. Will reflect on your well-being. You will be healthy. You wouldn't be thinking about problems. You will feel valued. You will feel respected. Build a good working relationship with others. People will trust you. Positive attitude, you will be kind to the people you work with. You will be caring. You will be considerate. You will have person-centered approach. You will be very respectful to them. Yes, so if you are happy inside, you will reflect that. So for valuing an individual and helping to promote their own well-being by increase their own self-esteem are part of a positive attitude coming from within. So positivity can help influence others. So if you're coming every day miserable because you haven't achieved anything in your life, you're not satisfied with where you have achieved so far, and you're not planning for the future to achieve anything, you go there and you're very miserable, you're not happy, your salary may be very low, what would this, like, how this would affect your client, how this would affect your own well-being. It will affect your well-being. It will affect your health because you keep thinking about it. So value an individual, helping to promote their well-being by increase their self-esteem are part of the positive attitude. So positivity can influence others. Positive attitude towards your work, towards individual, will show a very good response from others. So if I was going to answer this question, describe attitude and approaches likely to promote your well-being, I will just go and where is it? Go back. Here, describe attitude and approaches that are likely to promote individual well-being. So the attitude and approaches that promote well-being. So for you as a carer, the well-being is very important. So my behavior and practice is very important in my role. The way I feel about myself will build my self-esteem. Your attitude will reflect that, will show that. So if the individual will feel valid, if you are happy within yourself, and your well-being will be very good. And also you will feel valid, you will feel respected, build a good working relationship with others, you will feel trusted. This will give you positive attitude, which is being kind to the people, being caring to the people, very considerate to their needs, and also you will follow person-centered approach, and you will be very respectful to the others. So when you think you have achieved what you meant to achieve, that will make you very positive. That will make a good influence on your well-being and also influence on others who are in the care setting. Your positive attitude will bring happiness in the nursing home and also will bring good well-being to the people and clients you work with. Now, how about the reflective account? Let us go back to the reflective account. Apply person-centered value on day-to-day working, taking into account the history, preferences, wishes, needs, and for the individual. So which one is this? That's 2.2. I need you now to participate in this because we've been talking for quite a long time. So, well, it comes to 2.2. This is all about your own work. So when you go to here, 2.2, how to apply centered person values in day-to-day working, taking into account history, preference, wishes, needs of the individual. So for you, can you please tell me what's your experience in this? How you answer this question if you get it? Because it's in the reflective account, I will be talking about myself. Okay, we repeat that so many times. Please, can you next time remember, whenever we have a reflective account, we always should talk about our own experience. Okay, so we talk about our own experience. So how would you apply person-centered value in the day-to-day working, taking into account history, preference, wishes, needs for the individual? Well, I just explained it to you, to be honest. Same thing. So for me to answer this question, I'm going to answer it as if I'm the student. Because it's personal value, you need to talk about yourself. So I would say when I first started working in my nursing home, the first thing coming up to my mind is to keep a diary. So I kept a diary of a week, whatever different task I do to the clients. Also, whenever I had the time, I used to sit with the client, and I found lots of information about each one of the individual, which helped me a lot. So when I was sitting with Mr. X, I had lots of information about his history and how he was working as a helicopter engineer, and how he managed to escape from Iraq in the last war, and I found out about also his preference, his preferred colors, his preferred drinks, his preferred food, what he would like to do in the spare time. And also I found out if he wants to go to the garden, if he doesn't want to go to the garden, which days does he like to. I got lots and lots of information about his preference. I write it down in my diary, and that's so next time I met him, I start to follow whatever he told me that he preferred. For example, he told me that he doesn't drink tea, and normally we give tea to the clients, so I start giving him orange juice. And also he told me that he likes his breakfast a little bit earlier than others because he wake up at 4 o'clock, so he needs his breakfast by 6 o'clock, otherwise he will be hungry. So I start giving him his breakfast a little bit earlier than others. I like to concentrate on my clients as if they are the center. Each one of them follow his or her unique preferences, unique needs and wishes, and I do it for them. First, I need to get the information from them or from their families, write it down in my diary, and start following it up. I answered the question. Yes? So this is what you need to do. Just you need to give an example, real example. Just put Mr. Y or Mrs. M or Mrs. N or Mrs. L or whatever. Yeah? Number 2, establish consent for an activity or action. So if I go to 3.2, because if you don't answer it here correctly, then I have to visit you in your workplace and write a report. And some of you said you can't be working for a medical condition. So please write the reflection account correctly. You write about yourself, put a real example, and talk about it. Okay. So if you say, yes, exactly. So for here, it says establish consent for an activity or an action. So you need to give an example. How did you establish a consent? How did you establish this consent, and what did you do? So just say, we can give any example. Like for me, I can say I've been working with Mrs. M for quite some time. She is my client. And Mrs. M, I go and visit her in her own house. Mrs. M doesn't, she always likes certain new things in her shopping. She doesn't follow the same shopping list. So what I did, I'm still taking her consent. Before I go, I tell her there are some new things I tell her as an example, I tell her was there in the market today, all the food available, all the ready meals available, because she doesn't want me to cook for her. She loves ready meals, but I can't just choose for her. I like to get her consent to get her a new thing. So I discuss it with her, tell her what's available, and she tells me what she likes and what she doesn't like. Then I get consent from her to buy it because it's her own money. So I go there to the supermarket, give her all the new foods that she required, and come back. I always make sure to get my client consent when I do any activities, because this will make them feel respected, make them feel valued, and I follow their own rights, preferences, and support them with whatever they need. And also, sometimes I get my the client consent in writing. Yes, but you can give any example as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so let us say you have your example about your consent in writing. Come on, think with me about a client. You need his consent or her consent in writing. Maybe a client, Mrs. Y. She's always having a misunderstanding or problems communicating with her family. So when I bring the family to see her, sometimes they turn up to visit her. I always get her consent. I ask who is there on the door and say, can you please wait for me to get my client consent? So I go and speak to Mrs. Y and check with her if she would like to meet this person or if she doesn't. Then I get her consent. Then I either allow this person or not allow it based on Mrs. Y preference. And that in this way, I always make her feel respected, make her feel happy, and make her feel supported. Now, demonstrate ways to reduce barriers and encourage active participation. So how would you, 4 or 3, let us go. We know now the barriers for communication. So now how we can reduce the barriers? Where is 4.3?
So sometimes the language.
Yes, very good.
Yeah, I can ask my friend if she know the same language, or I can ask the tablet to translate for me what the client he's saying. Or...
Yes, very good. Any other example? Any other examples that you may face to reduce active participation? So for each one of the people you work with, they have some barriers. Maybe their understanding are not good enough, or maybe their language skills, or so. First of all, I need to understand my clients. I need to understand what their barriers to be involved in the activity, to be actively participated. So when I understand my client, then I can act on it. So for me, very important to me as a carer to understand my own clients, to understand the barrier to their to good communication, to their barriers, if they have any barriers to active participation. For example, I have one of my clients, as Miriam said, Mrs. Anne. She can't speak English. She speaks other languages, but not English. So it was very understand for her to understand the tasks we are doing. So I had to break this barrier. What I did, I encouraged her. I went to get another client, another colleague of mine, to translate for her, to let her know how we're doing this activity. And when she just get any activity, let us say I was updating the care plan. I went to Mrs. Anne and she can't actively participate because she cannot understand English. So how can I activate her care plan? So I went to my colleague and I asked him to come and translate for Mrs. M. And she translated for her everything. She got the information, she understood it, and then she started giving me lots of ideas about how to deal with her situation, about how we improve her care plan. And that was very good for both of us, because for her was very good active participation. For me, I showed respect, I showed that I care, I show that I'm competent in my work, and I show that I want to always break the barriers between me and my clients to active participation. That's it. That's full answer. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Now, support an individual to make informed choice. So which one is this? 5-1. So how we assess our client to make their own choice? Just give us an example.
In a person-centered way?
Yes. Yes, but how did you make them? First, you need to obviously talk to them. Yeah. So for you, if you want to support them to make an informative choice, first you need to talk to them, to make them understand their situation, and then get them to fully involve and be in control. So how would you do that? So you need another example, basically, another example. You can't just say things. For me, I need to show, where is it? It says support an individual. So I'm going to say I supported one of my clients. Her name is Mrs. N. Mrs. N, she wanted to leave the care home. She thought at home is better for her. So I wanted her to make an informative decision. I sat next to her and I started to let her know how people can help her in a care home. Just because she was very new to the center doesn't mean she should leave it because she couldn't get on very well with other clients. I told her that by time, day by day, she will be much more happier. She will be much more supported because she will get used to the place, and then she will be the one who's telling us how to care for her. We will always follow her ideas. We will always follow her wishes. And how we will always follow her needs. So after I told her all this, and I said to her, if she goes to her home, she wouldn't get the same help and support. She might get one person coming a few times a week just to cook for her and talk to her. While for us, we give her medication, we take care of her. I informed her about all this, and I told her. And then she started to understand. Well, yes, she started to discuss this with me. This is how I thought she started understanding, because she started discussing things with me and how she can get support and how she can get help and how we can help her. So I gave her all the information she requested, and then I left her. Second day, I came back to discuss the same thing, just to ask her what she felt about the whole situation, because I didn't want to influence her choice. I wanted her to think about it, then she will make an informative decision. So I went home, came back the second day, and I went to her, said good morning. I asked her about her opinion, what she has decided, whether she wants to leave or stay. And then she decided to stay because she made a very good informative decision built on the support and the help we give her. That's why she was really satisfied and happy with her own decisions. She made it herself. I didn't influence it. I just helped her by giving her all the information she needs. That's it. This is how to answer the full question. Now, use agreed risk assessment process to support the right to make choices. So what is the agreed risk assessment process? So if we go 5.2, so taking risk is part of our choices. Like, we make choices, but they might be very risky. They might be less risky. So there are so many risks involved in our new choices. So as well as that, the adult care worker, the individuals will make choices, and that doesn't mean individual will be placed in a danger or harm at all time, or abused. While we just need to make an informative choices. So now, how we do the risk assessment? Use agreed risk assessment process to support the right to make decision. So you need to protect the person, you need to protect yourself when you give any example. And how did you make this risk assessment? Can you think about a way that you done the risk assessment?
You do a risk assessment by speaking to the person and finding out their health needs, and so that you know what the person need is.
No, first of all, you need to find out what's the hazard. You assess what's the risk will be put in place if this person made certain decision. Okay. So risk assessment and management for the risk assessment are used to support individuals to make good and informative choice. So if you answer this question, it says
but before you
use agreed risk assessment.
You have to speak to the person for know what their need is. It's like, for example, I am buying a property. Our credit council is putting me into a property. They would need to know if I can use tiers or if I need ground floor flat. So they need to speak to me before. This is a part of the risk assessment. They kind of said hazard because and risk. They need to speak to me to find out what my risk is. Can I go up the stairs? Do I need to use the elevator? So that's a part of the risk assessment.
Excellent, thank you. So first of all, when we talk to the customer, because you need to talk about yourself. So here, when you get this question, use agreed risk assessment processes to support right to make choice. So for me, like if I was going to answer instead of you, I need to talk about myself. I need to talk about my own skills, my own experience, how I did that. So I say, in the care setting where I work, I always make sure I do a risk assessment for my clients when they make the right choices for them. So first of all, if they tell me, when I speak to my clients, I need to find out about their own wishes, their own preferences, what they want to do, how they want to do it. I need to identify the hazards area. For example, if my clients want to create a tea by himself, he doesn't or she doesn't want anyone to help him. So for me, I need to identify any risk involved, any hazard involved. Is the kitchen clear? Is there any boxes in the way that my clients could trip over it? Is there any sharp equipment might hurt my clients? And then also after that, I check with my colleagues about anything that they might think it could be harmful for this lady. Maybe my client has got some certain mental issues. Then I need to check with my colleagues that is it okay for this lady to do her cup of tea by herself. Why? Because this involves hot water, so could be dangerous if she doesn't know how to pour the hot water out of the cup, out of the kettle into her cup. So I need to make sure that she's got all the mental capacity. First of all, I identify the hazard area, go and check if the kitchen is clear. There's no boxes in the way, the kitchen is clean, no sharp equipment on the surface, and also evaluate her mental abilities. Is she able to do that by herself? And also I can decide if there is any risk here involved, if it is really high, if it is medium, if it is low, and also record this in a risk assessment. If it is very risky for her, then maybe she doesn't have the mental capacity for that. I can report this in the report, but she really wants it. Still cannot give it to her because of the risk assessment. So I need to write my, or maybe she is very good. If she is good and she's got the mental capacity, I can allow her to heat the kettle and create her cup of tea by herself. Okay, understood? And then after that, I can review and update the risk assessment, ensure any changes. Let us say the doctor visited the place and told me that Mrs. Y now is able to do her certain activities. We have been working with her for a while, and now her mental abilities are much better developing. Then maybe I can help her, but I can assist her in the kitchen and stand by her and check. And also I need to update the risk assessment, update my records. So this is an example you can give. Yeah. So what it says here, it says use agreed risk assessment to process to support the right to make choices. Let us say another client, Mrs. S. I'm going every day to help her in her house. Sometimes I have to sleep in her house because she needs extra help and support. So this client, sometimes she asks if she can cut the salad by herself, even though I'm the person who's responsible for her cooking, but I can't say no to her because then I need to assess the risk and the hazard included in her doing her own salads. Is the kitchen clean? Is there any boxes in the way that she trip over it? I always go and check. Is the knife she cuts with a very sharp knife that might cut her hand? I give her just normal fruit knife so it doesn't hurt herself. And also I stand and start watching her. So for me as a start, I think about all the hazard that she might have in the kitchen or in that area. I also identify, is it harm for her? Is the knife very sharp for her hands? I give her the fruit knife. Also, I evaluate the risk, deciding whether it's high, medium, basic, low risk. And also I record it in her record that she wanted to cut the fruit on that day. I felt it is good for her that she lives independently, so I allowed her to, but I gave her the fruit knife. So I record all what happened, and also I regularly come and update it, just in case I came one day and I saw her cutting her hands by sharp knife, then it is a dangerous going from low to high risk. Then I would stop allowing her to do her salad by herself, even though so I need to support her more and not allow her to do it herself. So I always do update my risk assessment regularly, record all the changes about the hazards in that area. So now if you go and, oh, this is the last one. Okay, great. Do you have any questions so far?
No.
No? Yeah, please, when it comes to reflective account, because you do it very, very well in the normal questions, but when you come to a reflective account, you really don't express much. I need a lot more information. Why? Because if the reflective account is correct, maybe I don't need to visit you too many times in your work assessment, in your working area. I just do it once or twice, or maybe it's enough with the reflective account. If you're not working because of medical condition, maybe you bring us a report to say that you have a medical condition, then it's fine. But in each cases, I need you to write all about yourself, how you dealt with the situation, what did you do, and did it get improved? Did just give example, Mr. X, Mr. Y, Mr. N, talk about them. how did you do it? How the steps, and what did you end up with, and what was the outcome? It's very important. Thank you so much for attending. I'm going to send you the recording, hopefully today, if not today evening or tomorrow very early morning. Thank you so much for attending, and have a lovely day.
Same to you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Have a lovely day. Bye.
Thank you so much. And you too. Bye-bye.